Most people think getting your work stolen at the office is about running into a bad coworker. But in most North American workplaces, that's not actually the problem. Here's the colder truth. Most work is never clearly tagged with a name. So it's not that someone stole your credit. It's that the system tends to default to whoever told the best story. Picture the wrap-up meeting after a project. One person did most of the heavy lifting, deep in the weeds, rarely spoke up, just kept executing. The other person didn't do as much of the actual work, but they're the one who kept the status doc updated, ran the check-ins, and put together the final slide at the end of the meeting. They're the one presenting. Afterward, the manager walks away thinking they're the one who pulled this off, not because anything got stolen, because they gave the manager something to hold on to, and the other person didn't. There's a reason this keeps happening, and there's a specific way to stop being the one who loses out. But first, you need to see why arguing about it never works, because most people try to fix this the wrong way first. You don't get rewarded for the work, you get rewarded for being seen. Most managers never watch the whole movie, they only catch a few scenes. They see who talked in a meeting, who sent the recap email, who explained things clearly, who showed up at the right moment. In other words, they don't see the work. They see the version of the work that got performed in front of them. Why credit quietly slides to someone else. This happens on almost every team for 3 boring reasons stacked on top of each other. The work is scattered. One project touches 5 people, 3 tools, and 2 months, so there's no single trail anyone can follow. Nothing gets written down in the moment. The real decisions happen in a Slack thread at 11 p.m. or a 2-minute hallway chat, not in a doc. Managers don't have time to dig. They're not detectives. They tend to believe whatever summary lands on their desk. Put those 3 together and you get one likely outcome. Whoever writes the recap first often ends up shaping what everyone remembers happening. Why arguing about it later goes nowhere. Your first instinct is to correct the record. Actually, I did that part. That wasn't really them. It rarely works. Here's why. Your manager didn't form their opinion when the work happened. They formed it once the story got told. And once a version is sitting in someone's head, who owned what? Who drove the outcome? Anything you say after that tends to get treated as a footnote, not a correction. There's something worth understanding here. When new information shows up too late, your brain doesn't rewrite the file. It just staples your comment to the back of it. Oh, right, sure noted, and moves on. That's not your manager being dismissive. That's just how brains tend to work. Building a new mental model costs way more energy than patching the old one with a sticky note. So when you argue after the fact, you're basically asking someone to do expensive work, throw out a story they already settled into for free. Most people won't do that. What actually works? Not paperwork, timing, and a bigger moment. Most advice stops at keep records, update your team, put it in writing. That's not wrong, it's just incomplete, because it only protects you from getting erased. It doesn't answer the real question. Once a story is already hardened, how do you actually crack it open? 2 things tend to do that. Neither one is send more emails. First, not every room you're seen in counts the same. Telling your teammate what you did barely travels beyond that conversation. Telling your manager one-on-one carries a bit more. But one sentence in the room where decisions actually get made, the cross-team sync, the leadership review, wherever the people with influence are sitting, tends to carry more weight than 50 status updates in your team channel. Most people take the easy route. They tell the people closest to them because that feels safest. But the people who end up owning the story are usually the ones who found a way, even for 30 seconds, into the room with more weight. You don't need to grab the mic. You just need one specific sentence at the right table, naming exactly what you did. Not, I helped with that, specifically what you did. Second, you don't erase an old story by explaining it away. You bury it under a newer, bigger one. A version rarely gets corrected by better facts. It's more likely to get replaced by a stronger memory. Say, a project stalls out. If you're the one who visibly walks in and unsticks it in front of the same people who formed the original story, that moment tends to become the new headline. Not because you convinced anyone of anything, because you just gave them something newer and sharper to remember you by. This is why timing tends to beat patience. Waiting for the moment something breaks, then being the visible fix, 5 minutes of that often does more than 3 months of quietly filing status reports no one reads. Put both of those together, and keeping records starts to look like what it actually is. It stops you from being erased completely. It doesn't hand you back the story. So getting your credit taken was never really a morality problem. It's a structural one. Being good at your job decides whether the work gets done. Being visible decides whether you get credit for doing it. Most people spend years polishing the first one and never learn the second one is a separate skill. Nobody stole anything from you. You just never learned this was a rule in the first place. Now you know how the room actually works. What you do with that is up to you.